Hello, Brita Wallace here, family and parent educator with Wallace Family Ministry. We are embarking on a Love Dare for Parents journey. I also have a Love Dare for Marriages study going along with this simultaneously, so you can find those videos as well if you didn't know about them right here on my channel. It is so hot in here today, guys, so I'm very sorry. I might touch my hair a bit because it's like sticking to my face. Today we are on day 14 of the Love Dare for Parents, and today's lesson is on love being compassionate. Okay, so we always start with a verse, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So Psalm 103:13 says, "Just as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him." If it hasn't happened already, days are likely coming when your children will be forced to face the inevitable dark clouds of life, okay? So they're going to go through heartbreaking disappointments, devastating failures, unexpected bad news, confusion, anxiety, stress, perhaps even some trauma. None of us escape trauma in our lives. We all deal with that in some fashion, right? So they might be subjected to bulliness at school, or maybe somebody just not saying nice things to them, or maybe they failed a test at school, and they might even feel shame over some of the choices that they make, right? So in any case, these moments afford parents the ideal opportunity to display one of the most cherished characteristics in life: compassion. Okay, so it's what we all long for from others when we are hurting, burdened, or ashamed. It's what we admire in those who give to the poor or serve the disabled and downtrodden. Compassion is simply choosing to feel sincerely concerned and sympathetic because of the heavy burden another person is under, and then being willing to do something about it. It means listening to someone's struggles instead of discounting their discomfort, taking the time to wipe away a tear instead of allowing another to be shed, covering shame instead of exposing it, sharing the load instead of ignoring it. Okay, so compassion, the first point that I want you to get, is simply choosing to feel sincerely concerned and sympathetic because of the heavy burden another person is under, and then being willing to do something about it. The second point I want you to get is it means listening to someone's struggle and not discounting their discomfort, taking the time to wipe away a tear and covering shame instead of exposing it, and sharing in the load instead of ignoring it. So as a parent, our compassion lovingly shouts, "I care," when our children are convinced that nobody else does. Okay, so when people are hurting, they really want mercy, they're really craving that, and they're going to run towards anybody who is going to give them compassion. So if they're not getting it at home from their parents, our children, then they're going to go find it somewhere else, and it might not be with the people that you want them to be hanging around with or listening to, right? So we want to make sure that we're learning how to offer compassion to our children, even when they screw up. So difficult situations that arise in our children's lives are the best and perfect opportunity for us to prove that we are a safe refuge for them to run to with their burdens and their brokenness. If we pass over their pain without offering an ear or any help, then our kids will not likely feel welcome later on when matters get more serious. So when they become teenagers and they have issues or something happens in their lives, they're not going to come and they're not going to seek us. They're going to seek somebody else. They're going to look for that person or the people who are giving them compassion. And the thing that where I went when I was a teenager was the misfit crowd. That's what I like to call it, the misfit crowd, because we all had our own issues. And I don't say that because I don't love every single one of those people that I hung out with, that I grew up with. I do. We all had really, really, really great big hearts. We all had tremendous potential. Most of us are all doing really good things in our lives today and raising families. And some of us went down a really bad path of drugs. Some of us have ended up dead because of that. And I just call it that. I don't remember what I was learning about exactly in school in human development. But we always, in human development, we always had to, just a specific class, not my actual like degree, but when I took, regular human development, it was an advanced class, and I'm sure they did the same exact things in the regular class as well, but we had to, everything we had to learn, all the concepts, theories, we had to apply them to our lives, to a time in our lives. And if we were learning about adolescence or early childhood or whatever, we had to apply that to a time in our life of when, something where it was significant, right? And we had to put in these theories and concepts and so on and so forth. And I don't remember exactly what we were learning. It must have been adolescence, but I don't remember exactly what we were learning about. And I had said, I had come up with that term, like it's the misfits. We were all broken. We all suffered trauma, and we all kind of just gravitated towards each other. And we all were really, really close, and we all had compassion for one another. We all understood each other's pain, right? And we weren't always doing things our parents would have been okay with had they known what we were doing. But I call them, that was the crowd for me. And my mom did not always like, and my dad did not always like the people that I gravitated towards as a teenager, but we gravitate towards the people who are going to give us that compassion that we need. We're going to want to be with those people. Why? Because they understand me. And they did. And I can tell you that when your teenager says that to you, it's because they really are seeking that. They're seeking that understanding. They're seeking that compassion from somebody else. And my friends growing up, they did understand me. They understood what I was going through. They understood my pain and my trauma, and we got through it together, and we were there for each other. We were probably, honestly, really good at offering that compassion and support to each other because we all were familiar with that pain. We were all going through something at the time, some sort of trauma, or dealing with trauma in the past that we kind of just stuffed and buried, but we were all going through something. Okay, so compassion is not always easy, and it's not automatic. It is rarely convenient or comfortable. I mean, really, it isn't, especially as a parent, okay? But your love should refuse to lead any doubt in your children that you take their burden seriously. They should see you as an oasis of care and concern, not a dry desert that offers no relief. But for this to happen, you must lead your heart to be available and understanding. As impressionable as children are, what if your son or daughter learned that your voice was the first one they could quickly turn to when they needed comfort or counsel? All right, so Jesus always served as the model of love's greatest attributes, including the merciful warmth of compassion. Amazingly, he set examples of how to show it. The weary, the distressed and dispirited, and we learn about that in Matthew 9:36. The ignorant like sheep without a shepherd, Mark 6:34. The disorganized who were overwhelmed, Mark 8:1-3. The greatly indebted, Matthew 18:27. The mourning who had lost a loved one, Luke 7:12-14. The broken sinner, Luke 15:20-21. The abused and the needy, Luke 10:31-35. So there are examples in the Bible where it shows us how Jesus showed compassion to people who were going through really difficult times, and they're all different situations, right? We got disorganized, ignorant, weary, indebted, mourning, sinner, abused, and needy. Okay, so it was totally different situations, but they all needed compassion. They all needed that love from somebody, and Jesus came and he offered that to them. So he allowed himself to feel moved with compassion and to personally feel the sorrows and burdens others were feeling. And then he went into action to lighten their load. In fact, within 7 compassions of Jesus, you'll find a fairly complete picture of his salvation. How he came to us when we were wearied by sin, spirited, indebted to him, ignorant of how to clear ourselves, unprepared to face God in eternity. And though he was saddened and painfully aware of our wickedness, he offered the needed forgiveness that his loving sacrifice can provide. Okay, so he said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Matthew 11:28-30. And he can meet us in our own crisis when our hearts cry out to him. He's faithful to sympathize with our weaknesses and to respond to our prayers. And likewise, we should be that way with our children. We need to be willing to comfort and console them and draw them close when they are going through something, when they are struggling through something, okay? To answer their questions when they have them, to love them when they're going through hard times. So the rest of the key points that I want you to get today is difficult situations in our children's lives are incredible opportunities to prove that we're a safe refuge to run to when they, with their burdens and their brokenness. And if we pass up this opportunity and pass up, over their pain without offering an ear or any help, they're likely, again, to not feel welcome later on when matters are more serious to them, and they're going to find the person who's going to offer them compassion. All right, so in contrast, the compassionless are always viewed as selfish and heartless, cold and callous. Sensing lack of compassion is why workers go on strike, right? It's why teenagers rebel. It's why wives leave their husbands. And it's why even citizens end up overturning their governments, okay? Is the lack of compassion. People are not feeling heard. They are not feeling like anybody cares in these situations about them. So our children should see us as an oasis of care and concern, not a dry desert that offers no relief. And for this to happen, we need to lead our hearts to be available and understanding. So what if your children learned your voice was the first they could quickly turn to when they needed comfort or counsel, okay? So what would it mean to them? What would it mean to you where you're building this connected relationship with them, where you're offering comfort when they need it and compassion, okay? So today's dare is look and listen for opportunities to demonstrate compassion to your children and help lighten their load in areas where it may be too heavy. Ask if you could pray for them about an issue that they've recently shared. All right, so that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's little lesson, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow for day 15 of the Love Dare for Parents. I pray that you have a wonderful day. And make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and share me with your friends. Take care and God bless.